What's up, guys? Today we're going to do another Frontend Mentor challenge, and we're going to do the Huddle landing page with single introductory section project. This is what we'll be building here. It's got this background image in the back. This is just an image, so we don't have to, thank God, we don't have to take two images and put them like that, because that is so annoying when designs make you do that. This is all just one image. Pretty simple, just some text, a button, a logo. And then we have these icons down here, these little social icons. I'll show you how to do that. And then we have mobile, where everything is just stacked and centered. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and we'll get started with this. So I'm going to go to download assets and download the starter. Okay. And then just a sneak peek, this is what we're going to build. This is my finished product. And I did not use the Figma file. I just downloaded the free starter files. I'm not using Figma. I don't have the Pro. Not interested in that. And my background image looks a little bit different than the default one. Like, it has this big circle here, and it's this thing is in a little bit different of a position. So just FYI, our background image, if you're following along with just the free one, doesn't appear to be the exact same background image that they have advertised, at least if you're not using Figma. So just going to have to live with that. It's not going to look exact because they gave us a different looking background image for that and for mobile. So if we go to mobile, it looks a little bit different as well. So it's not the end of the world. I personally don't care, but I'm just saying be prepared for that. It's not going to look, our background image is not going to look exactly like this. So let's get started. I just downloaded that starter file. I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to grab it. The Huddle map. I'm going to unzip this, bring it down here. And then what I do is I'm just going to rename it here. I'm just going to get rid of the section master part, all that. Huddle landing page, and then I'll leave single introductory. And then I'll open up a Visual Studio Code and drag the project in. Now I'm going to get rid of these two README files. Don't care about those. Just tells you about Frontend Mentor. I don't really care. Going to get rid of gitignore. Get rid of everything that we don't need. I'm going to get rid of the Frontend Mentor favicon. Keep those other images. We have our design, our index. So for our index, I'm going to copy the text that we'll need, and I'm going to put it down here in a comment. And then I'm going to delete all their garbage HTML. I don't want their Frontend Mentor branding and crap like that. So that's going to go bye-bye. We're going to keep the text down here so we can just copy and paste it. And then I'm going to make my own boilerplate code with the Visual Studio Code. And then we'll say huddle. And then I'll make it say welcome. That'll be our title. And let's get our file set up. So we need a CSS. So we'll do a new file and we'll say style.css. And then let's link our CSS page below our meta tag here. We'll say link style.css. And then we're going to go in our CSS, and I'm going to do a CSS reset. So I'm going to say asterisk, select all. I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box. What's up, guys? Just wanted to really quickly make you aware that I do have a complete web developer course available. It will take you from 0 to full stack web developer with PHP. It is 100% project based. There is no boring theory. All of the videos, there are 5 minutes or less. I did that on purpose because when I was a student, I hated when people would make like hour-long videos, be one video of their course, and you had to keep pausing, and it was hard to understand everything. We start from how the internet works to learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then finally PHP full stack with database of MySQL at the end. Again, 100% project based. All we do is build projects. That's the best way to learn, is by actually building stuff, not just learning a bunch of theory of how stuff will work. If you're interested in this, check the link in the description and we'll get back to the video. And then I'm going to do an H1 in here, and I'm just going to say test. So let's see if our CSS is connected and our page is working here. So I'm going to resize this. I'm going to go live. And there's our page. There's our title. Our CSS reset is working because this is up in the corner. There's no margin or padding, so that's good to go. So yeah, let's go to our style guide now and just change what we need to change around. So here it gives us our colors. I like to use hex codes, so I'm going to get rid of these HSL codes. So this is what they're supposed to be for hex code. How I got those is I just used Google. I just went to Google and type in HSL to hex converter. I went to this website and then I pasted the HSL in here, and then it'll give you the hex code for whatever you paste in there. HSLs, I just don't use them. They bother me, so I just switch it to what I use there so that I have my little guide set up. And now we have to get some font families and some font icons to use to get our social links. Because if we look at the design, remember at the bottom there's like the social link area. So we have to import Google fonts and we have to import fonts, web font, or web icons. And I'll show you how to do both of those now. So looking here, let's get our fonts first. We need to go to Google Fonts and we need to get Poppins and Open Sans. So let's do that. So I'm going to make this big. Go to Google Fonts. So here we are at Google Fonts. Now we need Poppins. So we'll type in Poppins. Select it, say get font, get embed code, and it says we need font weight 400 and 600, so we'll grab that. Let's go to change styles, unselect all of them. We need 400 and 600. And now we actually need another font before we move on. We need to also get Open Sans at font weight 400. So let's get that. So just get out of this. Just click on fonts, and I'll search for Open Sans. Here it is. Click Get Font, Get Embed Code, and all we need is the regular 400. So we can unselect that one. Now our code up here will have both fonts, and then it has Open Sans and Poppins. So we just need to copy this one piece of code and paste in the head of our document of our index.html. So I'm going to paste this above my style sheet. And then we got to put the font families in there. So if we look at our style guide again, it looks like Poppins is for headings, and then the paragraph text is in Open Sans. So let's set that up right now in our CSS. So I'm going to go to CSS, and I'm going to say all the headings. So H1, H2, H3. Pretty sure we won't even use an H2 or an H3, but whatever. We'll just say, we'll put font family Poppins. So let's grab that from here actually. This one right here. Just copy paste it. And then we'll say all paragraphs are going to have the Open Sans font family. And that's right here. So we'll just copy that and paste it. All right, there we go. So now we got our fonts. And now we have to get icons for the social links. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, actually, we'll wait to do that later. We'll get that when we actually set that up. So we'll just do it with our fonts for now. We'll do that later. So we got our fonts and our colors all situated. So let's go ahead and start building this design out. So I'm just going to put this preview BG here so we can look at it, what we're building. All right, so first we'll start with the logo area and just work our way down. So it's just a logo area. This Flexbox section, we'll flex these side by side, and then the links, and then we'll put on our background image and all that later. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of our little test H1, and I'm going to wrap everything in a container class for our design so that we have some padding on the sides, like the design. So I'm going to say dot container. And now let's actually make the container class. So let's go down here. We'll say dot container. And I'm going to say width 90%. Max width 1440 pixels. And margin auto. And you're not going to see anything yet, but you will when we start building the design. So we have everything is going to be wrapped in our container. And we're going to build the header, which is just like a logo. So we're going to say header. And then in the header is going to go an image. So we're going to say image. Going to our images folder. We're going to grab logo.svg. In our alt text, I'm just going to say huddle logo. And we can't see the logo because it's white. It's right there. So let's actually give the page the purple background color to start. So let's go up to here. See above container. Actually, we'll go up here and we'll select our whole body. And we'll say background color, and we're going to grab it from here. It's going to be this darker purple, and we'll paste that in. Boom. Now we can see our logo looking better. Now let's give our header some padding here because it's all the way up to the top. So let's go down here and we'll select header. Say padding top, 3 rem. 1 rem equals 16 pixels, so we have 3 rem there, so 48 pixels. And then see our container's working because we have some padding on the side here. So now we're going to jump right into making our section here where we're going to flex stuff. So let's go to our HTML, and below our header I'm going to make a section tag, and I'm going to do a class of product-info. And then first is going to be our image here, so I'm just going to say image, give it a class of info-image, and then we're going to go to our images, and we're going to get illustration mockups.svg and save. And then next to it we're going to have that text content, so this text over here with the button. So let's go below the image, and I'm going to make another div, and I'm going to have a class on that of product info text container, and then I'm going to have an h2, and it's going to have this text here, and we'll put a class on it. We'll call it info text header, and then let's copy paste our text in here. Build a community your fans will love. So cut that, paste it here. Okay, there's our text. And then below it, we're going to have a paragraph. And we're going to call that info text P for paragraph. And we'll cut and paste this in here. All right. There we go. We can delete all this. We don't need register down there. We can write that out. So now we got to flex this stuff side by side and style up our text. So let's grab our product info container here. Say dot product info, and we're going to say display flex justify content center. I'm not going to use a line item center because it's not centered on this design. This is like way up here. If we do a justify or a line item center, this is going to drop all the way down here, and then it's not going to look like the designs. And then we'll give these a little more separation here. So to do that, we're going to use column gap, which is basically padding left and right. Say 2 rem, save, and that just spaced them out a little bit more. So now let's keep going down here. Let's grab the product info text container, copy that, put it here, and let's just say margin top 2 rem. And that'll bring our text down just a little bit, so now it's not all the way up top here. So we're getting there. Let's actually put some margin between our logo and our section here. So let's go here, say margin top 3 rem. There we go. Now let's style up our header. So we'll grab info.text-header, and we'll say font size 48 pixels, make it nice and big. All of the text for this website is pretty much white, so rather than give the heading and paragraph separate white text, we can just go up to body and say color white, and that'll do that for everything. So there we go. Make sure our font weight is at 600 for this header, and then that'll be it for the header for now for styles. So I'll build a community your fans will love. Now let's style up the paragraph a little bit. So we'll grab info text-p, and we're going to say font size 16 pixels, make it a little bit bigger. Then we'll say line height 1.6, and that just separates the space between each new line of text, so that looks a little bit more readable. So let's see what we got now. Yeah, it's looking better. So now let's make our little button here. So it's a white background, it's got some border radius and some purple text, and it says register. So let's do that. So let's go below our paragraph and make a button. Say type button, and it's literally just going to be a button. I'm not going to put a link on it because this page is just like a practice page and it's not going anywhere anyway. So no need to do that. If this is going to be like a real website, you put an anchor tag in here and actually link it somewhere, but don't need to do that here. But I will give this a class of register-btn, and then let's select the class and get this styled up. Let's go down here, say register BTN. And first thing I'm going to do is say margin top of 2rem to separate it a little bit. I'm going to give it a width of 200 pixels and a height of 60 pixels. And I'm getting all this, guys, just from eyeballing the design on what I think it is. I don't have Figma, so I don't know exactly, but that's what I think it is. And it'll look pretty close, I think. We're going to say border radius 35 pixels to make it nice and rounded. I'm going to say border none. Cursor pointer, so we get that pointer when we hover over it. I'll say font size 21 pixels, make the text bigger. I'm going to give it a font color of that darker purple. And then this does have a hover effect on it. If we look at our active states in the design, it's supposed to be pink and the text go like white when we hover over the button, so we can make that happen. So let's go into our CSS. And we need to put a transition on this. So I'm going to say transition. I'm just say all 0.2 seconds. Ease in, out. And then let's copy and paste this, just this part. Register button, hover. And then on hover, we're going to have the background color, and it's going to change to that lighter pink color. So right here. And then the text should be white, so we'll say color white. Okay, we'll save and see what that looks like. Looks pretty good. So that's what we have. That's the real one. Pretty close. So now let's continue on down and do the mobile social, or sorry, the social link area. So let's go back to our HTML. And below the section, we'll say dot social links container. And then within there, we're going to have more divs because we have to put this circle around the thing. The icon, it's not going to come like that. We have to do that with CSS. So we're going to have another div, and we'll call it link-container, or we'll call it social container. And then you could put a link in here, even though they're not going to go anywhere. And then within the link, we're going to put our icon. So let's go grab our icons now because the time has come for that. So let's go over. I'm going to take mine from a website called Font Awesome. This is where you can get a lot of free little icons that look like this. These are font icons. And if you don't have an account with Font Awesome, just go over here. It'll say sign up or something. Sign up, give them your email. It'll produce for you something called a kit. Or you'll click add new kit after you sign up. And then you'll get a kit, and it'll look like this. And all a kit is just like an API link, an API JavaScript link to connect your website to their fonts. Then you get all the free fonts for free. So I'm going to copy that little JavaScript, and I'm going to put it up in the head of my document above my style sheet. And now we have all the Font Awesome free icons available to use. So the first one we'll need is Facebook. So let's go to search here. I'm going to type in Facebook, and we just want this F1. We're going to style it up a little bit, so I'm just going to make it XL. Copy, and then paste that in here. And then let's take this social container class and copy it down 2 more times because we're going to have to get 2 more of those icons. So we have 3 Facebooks now, but we're going to change the icons in here. So next we need to grab Twitter or X, whatever you call it. I'm probably one of the few people in the world that I've never had either when it was called Twitter or now X. I've never had an account. I've never tweeted in my life. It's just, I've never even used the platform. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know. Most social media doesn't appeal to me at all. So I just stay off it. All right, so there we go. We got Twitter. And now I think the third one is Instagram. Yeah, it's Instagram. So get the Instagram icon. Let's make this big. And it's this one. And we'll click on the paint thing and make sure that we make... did I make the... I don't know. I think I forgot to make the other one XL, but we'll fix that if I did. So we'll go XL, copy. No, I didn't forget. Cool. And then we'll paste Instagram in here. All right, so we have all of our links here. So now we have to style them up and position them in the bottom right. So let's do that. So let's select social links container, say dot social links container. And so you can see what's going on here. We'll get to the page. We'll say display, flex, align items, center, justify content, center. So they're all flexed together. We're actually going to justify the content, not center, but to flex end. So that they'll be at the far right of the page over here where they belong. That's how you do it, flex end, okay? And then we'll space them out a little bit. So we'll say column gap, 2 rem in between each one of them. There we go. And now let's push them down the page so they're not right up in our info area. So let's say margin top and bottom, 3 rem, 0 rem left and right. See what we got. Okay. Pretty good. All right, so now we have to make that circle around these. So let's select our, and I mean like this white circle that's around them, we have to make that with CSS. So to do that, I'm going to select our social container class. Say dot social container. And to do that, that's actually a border. We're going to say border 1 pixel, solid, white. Okay, there's the start of it. To make it circle, you say border radius 50%. Now we have to add some height and width to them to make them perfect circles. So we'll say height 50 pixels, width 50 pixels. Okay. Now we have to center the icons in the container. And to do that, we can use Flexbox. So we could say display, flex, align item center, justify content, center. There we go. Now we have to make the icons themselves white. So to do that, we're going to say, we'll copy this. We'll say dot social container, I for the icons, the icon tag. And we're just going to say color, white. There we go. Looking good. I feel like this should be pushed down more though. I mean, I guess not really. I guess we could if we wanted to. Say margin 6 rem. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit better. So now we have our icons here, but now they have a hover effect on them. If we look here in the active states area, they're supposed to turn pink when we hover over them, so let's add that. So the first step in that is we'd actually have to make a transition on this guy right here. So I'll say transition, and we're going to transition just the color. We'll say 0.3 seconds, ease. And now let's select the social container. Paste that down here. We'll say social container hover. And we're going to say border color, which is the white circles that we made around them. And we want it to change pink on hover. So that'll affect that. And then forgot to do this. We got to do our social container hover I. And same thing, but this time so that we just want to do the color, save. And now when we hover over them, they go pink. Okay. So that's it for our desktop version of this design. Oh, let's do the background images now. So to do that, and again, like I said in the beginning, the image that I appear to have gotten in my file is not the exact background image of here, so it's not going to look exact, but it'll look pretty close. We'll make it look good. So I'll show you how to do that. So let's go back up to our body, and we're going to go above these, and the first thing that we're going to do is our background. We're going to say background, URL. We're going to grab the image, so we're going to say BG desktop, and there. Save. There we go. So see, we have like this circle thing right here. I don't know. I feel like my image is a little bit different, but whatever. I'm going to say background repeat. No repeat because it'll repeat and tile itself by default. So there we go. And then we're going to say background position. I'm going to say center. center. And then for the size, we want to take up the whole page. So yeah, it takes up the whole page, it looks like on the design. So background size, cover. There we go. And that's going to be the desktop version. So again, it's not going to look exact, but there's also this weird circle. There's just stuff on here that looks different. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to spend hours dissecting the background image. It's good enough for me. That's one of those things with being a developer, guys. You don't want to be a perfectionist unless you have to be. Or if you're working for some big company and the designer demands pixel perfect design, which first of all, those are terrible companies to work for anyway. But if that's the situation you're in, then you're gonna have to deal with it. But something like this, don't worry about it, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, it's being a good developer is about building and shipping products that make money. It's not about worshipping code and being a perfectionist and freaking out. All right, so let's move on to our mobile styles. So let's do our media queries. And then, so the first one I'm going to do is going to be for we're not going to go straight to phones. We're going to do tablet styles too, even though that's not included in our little design package that we got. We want to go to iPad mini, iPad Air, see what this looks like on tablet right now. And not so hot. So we got to start stacking it on tablets already. And then when we get to the mobile phone screen, we're just going to stack everything and make text align center. But that'll only be for small screens. For the tablet, it's going to be a little bit different. I'll show you what we're going to do here. So 1180 is where it starts to look a little scrunched up. So I want to start stacking it at 1179 and lower, because this still looks okay, but it's not going to look okay much longer. So that'll be our first media query. So I'm going to say at media, screen, and now I'm a max width guy. I don't like min width. So max width means as soon as the screen size gets to 1179 or smaller, do the following. So we're going to stack our stuff on top of each other. So we're going to say, and let's get to a view where we'll actually see that, because it's not going to be in this one. Remember, this is still going to stay the same. It's when we hit 1179, so 1 pixel lower than 1180 and lower. So it'll be like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say .product -info, which is our flex container. And we're going to say flex direction column, so they stack. Oops, and I forgot a colon up here. My bad. There we go. So now they're stacking. Then we'll say align item center. And then we'll say column gap 0 rem, because we no longer need that on mobile. And then let's do our info image. Let's grab that. And I want to put a width on there so that it doesn't ever overflow, because we never put a width on it for desktop. We just left the image with the default, whatever it was uploaded as by Frontend Mentor. So let's grab info image, that down here, and let's just say width 100%. Okay, and it doesn't look like anything changed, but on smaller screens that will be necessary. And then we're going to go down now to do mobile screens. And for mobile screens, they just basically center the text, the button, and this. So let's do that. So let's make a smaller media query for mobile screens. So this is going to be for 767 and lower. And again, 767 is just another cutoff for the smallest tablet, like the iPad mini. 768, and then it goes down to 767. So I wish I could get this stupid circle out here. I don't know where that came from or why that's in my image, but whatever. All right, so 767 max width. We're going to throw in our mobile image, background image, because there is also a mobile background image. So let's copy the body up here. Paste that down here. And all this is going to stay the same, but we're going to go switch to the other image. So we're going to say images, BG mobile. Boom. And that you can't see it because we're not on a phone. Let's go here. So there's our background image. Changes it up a little bit on mobile. And again, it doesn't really look like the other one. Right here. I don't know. This is supposed to be way up here. I don't know, guys. Like I said, I'm not going to fidget with this background image, and I don't really care that much. There is another property called background position where you could probably move the image up and down, but It's a giant pain in the butt, and I just don't want to get into that right now. So if you want to do that, Google it, but I'm not going to spend an hour on that. Now we just got to really like align our text center. So let's select our .info-text header. And we're going to say text align center. And then we're going to make the font smaller on these smaller screens. So we're going to say font size 32 pixels. There we go. And that looks more like the mobile font design. Yeah. So it's about 32 pixels. Let's do the same thing to our paragraph. So we'll say .info, info text P, text align center. And then I'm going to give that some more margin top. Say margin top 1 rem. There we go. And now let's grab our register button and center that thing. So grab register BTN, copy that down. And we're just going to do the following. We're going to say display block. And then we're going to say margin left auto, margin right auto. And that centers that. And now we just got to center our links. So let's grab those. So it's going to be our social links container. Copy that, paste it down here. And instead of flex end, we're just going to say justify content and center. That'll center them. And then we can change this from 6 rem to 3 rem on mobile so that there's not so much margin there. Everything else, everything else can stay, so we'll just delete that. Boom. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. Let's look at our design full screen. So here's our design. Looks pretty close to the original. Close enough for me, right? Again, I'm a professional entrepreneur web developer, so I don't geek out and like freak out as much about these little things not looking perfect because I work for myself. I don't work for a company, and I can set my own standards. You should strive to get to the position I'm in. And then if you want, you can right-click and inspect. View the design on all the phones if you want. There's an iPhone 12, iPhone 5, super old phone. Looks good. Go landscape mode, it'll still look great. You can go to a Google Pixel 4. Whatever you want to do, guys, go through here, but it'll look good on everything, I promise. And then again, if we go up to like iPads, it looks really good. We didn't center the text on iPads. We kept it left aligned, and it looks really nice on iPad, still stacked up. And then if we go to the bigger iPad, cool. And then if we go to like a big tablet, it goes back to pretty much the desktop version. So, all right, guys. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you out if you needed it. Remember, if you need help becoming a developer, if you're learning, but you still find yourself watching endless tutorials like this one, trying to figure out how to do stuff, I do offer the complete web developer course that'll take you from zero knowledge of coding all the way up to a full stack PHP developer. I'll teach you how to think like a developer, actually break down designs so you don't need to watch tutorials like this anymore. It is 100% project-based course. Each video of the course is an average of 5 minutes or less. And again, this will take you all the way up to being a full stack developer so that you can become a freelancer, launch your own projects, or if you really wanted to, you could walk in, you can get a job at a company if you wanted to. But this will give you the skills to actually be a real developer. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.